On the line with me now is the president of Western Cape Aquatics, Lluwellyn Coetzee. Lluwellyn, it's fantastic to have you on the show. How are things with you?
No, very well, JP. Thank you for the opportunity, and it's a pleasure being part of this show today.
Yeah, for us it's the first time having you on the show, and it's great to be able to talk to you as the president of Western Cape Aquatics. But let's just start at the beginning. We all think of swimming in South Africa as swimming, and everyone thinks of it's one code. But of course, in aquatics, you've got a number of different codes.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's 4 disciplines that we work within aquatics.
Yeah.
The first one is everybody knows about swimming, and swimming have got also 3 other categories that we're looking at. Learn to swim is probably the start of anything in aquatics. And then you have your open water part, you have your usual swimming part, and then I think the final part in terms of swimming is the masters. And then the different discipline, a second discipline is water polo. And then we've got a third discipline, which is artistic. And then a fourth one, diving. And that includes also cliff diving these days.
Wow, so that's getting a lot of attention at the moment on a global scale. We see the Red Bull Cliff Diving Challenge, and these guys are diving off mountain cliffs and they're diving off these big scaffolds. How active is that in South Africa?
It's fairly a new discipline. So I think I'm not sure if there's any activity around it, but it's been a part of the FINA outline that cliff diving forms part of aquatics. I think there's very limited activities currently, but hopefully it's a sport that can grow over time.
We've been paying a bit of attention to some of your athletes that come out of the Western Cape. You've got some incredible talent here in the Western Cape. Some youngsters that are cracking the Olympic record space.
Yeah, we've got fairly good athletes coming through. I'm thinking about Amy Kenny, currently in the Eden area. She's a very youngster that's coming through the ranks, and we expected her probably to go to the Olympics next year. I just can't think of big things that might happen from her if she goes and focus around the sport for the next Olympics, because it's about 16 years. And there's a fairly few youngsters coming through the ranks as well. We're hoping that in the next year or 2, we might build us up into a high performance process where we get them into a system to be ready for Olympics.
You've got one youngster here that I saw, he's 16 years old, Ethan Dupree, who is cracking the records at an international space, and apparently he's a youngster and he's just behind Chad Leclos' records.
Yeah, there's a few of them, JP, and I very exciting to see them grow in the sport and enjoying it.
Yeah.
I think the basis for anybody competing in any sport is to enjoy it firstly, and the results will come.
And one of the big components of swimming, of course, is your learn to swim component, which contributes to society and to government to assist with safety around swimming.
Yeah, I think that's the basis for swimming, where I think our vision and the vision from Swimming South Africa is to get everybody into pools. So ensure that we create safety, but also for young people to enjoy the sport. So, but it starts with learn to swim, learning the basics. We are growing very strongly in that base. I think we've got about 53 learn to swim schools across the province currently registered with us. And it's a growing opportunity for people to get involved with. But also for our youngsters to get the basis for aquatics and swimming.
So where do post? I would imagine that swimming is quite difficult because you need a pool. You need a big pool. It's not easy access, and to build a pool obviously costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
Where do most of the swimmers that you've got in the Western Cape actually practice?
Yeah, I think there's different facilities. The usual one as municipal facilities that's available, but more and more it's growing in terms of schools and schools building these facilities. You also get it in gyms.
Yeah, yeah.
So those are the basic areas where we will find these type of facilities. Uh, it's too expensive for any club to at least put up such a facility.
Yeah, yeah. The last few weeks, of course, has been the lockdown, or we can literally now say the last few months. It's been very hard for the sports structures out there, and I can imagine for you guys as a swimming structure with all your high performance athletes, you've had to come up with all sorts of different creative ways to keep your athletes active at home, and we've seen quite a lot of these online Zoom and digital training sessions. How have you found that challenge?
Yeah, I think we all had to become very innovative during this period and think differently on how can we deal with growing the sport, but also giving support to all our athletes, our coaches, as well as our officials. Because I mean, I think it will have a huge effect for us taking the sport forward. That we now at a stage, hopefully, that we can return back to swimming soon, following a process that we
Yeah, yeah.
engaging with government on that. But we've used the online platforms more to build capacity, uh, having seminars for coaches. I think the clubs engage with athletes on land training to keep themselves fit during this period. But as you know, I mean, you need
Yeah,
time in water
yeah, yeah.
for aquatics, and everybody's very eager going back to swimming.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope we see you guys back in the pool soon. I know you've got all this talent in the Western Cape, and as I said, the guys are breaking records. I mean, that's what we want to see,
Yeah.
and hopefully there's more the public coming to join your structures and join a swimming club and get many more swimmers in the Western Cape. I'm assuming they can go to your website and find your contact details of a club near them and learn to swim.
Yeah, no, we want to encourage as much as possible people who might be interested in the sport to get involved with it. It is local clubs. Uh, check
Yeah.
on the websites and our Facebook pages. We've published last week also contact details of clubs within the Western Cape. I think there's some exciting times. If I'm just shortly want to give you an overview of our achievements last year, which I'm very proud of. Uh, for example, we have won the SA Championships in terms of artistic swimming. We've dominated last year artistic swimming with out of the 12 athletes being selected in the SA teams. Our girls water polo and boys water polo have won gold and silver medals at the SA Championships. SA schools, our athletes achieved very well, and we came second at the SA schools in December last year. But also on open water, a few of our athletes did receive gold medals at the
Wow.
SA Open Water Championships. So yeah, there's such a lot of opportunities, and if there's young people who wants to get involved with, it's a very interesting sport, an enjoyable sport. It's although it's an individual sport, you're competing against the clock, but it starts by just having fun with it. And as much as possible, we will invite as much as possible people to become part of it. Volunteers is we're very dependent on volunteers for running the sport, and that's where the parent displays such an important role. because all timekeepers and judges, it's usually volunteers and parents.
Absolutely,
So
yeah.
we,
But Lluwellyn, hopefully a lot of people are watching the TV show tonight, and hopefully they will join. And even more importantly, maybe there's some sponsors out there that see you tonight and they hear about the success stories of swimming, and they'll give you a phone call and say they want to sponsor swimming in the Western Cape, and that would be a first prize.
Fantastic. Thanks, JP. I hope we'll get the sponsors to help us with developing the sport, but I think they will get good exposure from the achievements in the Western Cape.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lluwellyn. Folks, Lluwellyn Coetzee there is, of course, president of Western Cape Aquatics, and they're doing fantastic. You heard it there firsthand.